Hello and welcome to video 3 of our 10-part educational series on EMF. This video we're going to be looking at how to hardwire our devices. So we're going to look at how to hardwire a PC, a laptop, a smart TV, a tablet. We're going to look at hardwiring mobile phones in a different video because that's a little bit more in depth. So for now, you've watched video 1 where we talk about what routers to be using, making sure that we're not using a smart router and that we've disabled the wireless component of the router. In video 2, we looked at how to actually hardwire from the router. So whether we choose to do a direct plug into the router, a power line over internet over power line adapter, or putting ports through the house, so running wiring through the house. Now, what we're going to look at is what adapters do I need for different devices. Now, if your computer has an Ethernet port on it, then that's super easy. So if your computer has something like that, first little this one here, then it means that you can directly plug the Ethernet into that, which is super easy. And now you've managed to hardwire it. So you just need to go into the settings of the computer so that it makes sure that it's identified that it is being hardwired, and turn off the wireless capabilities. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a sec, because that's applicable to any of the devices that we're hardwiring. Now, there are some devices that won't have an Ethernet port to them. Most of your PCs or desktops will have an Ethernet port, and most of your smart TVs will also have an Ethernet port on them. But when we start going down, especially into these little slimmer laptops like this one, and our notepads and things like that, you'll notice that they don't have an Ethernet port in them. So what they need is they need a little adapter, and these can be easily purchased. Again, I like to buy things from JB Hi-Fi because I find them, they're great at changing things over if you get it wrong, or they can be very helpful if you take the device in there and ask them which adapter you need. But simply, most will either need an adapter that comes from USB or an adapter that comes from USB-C. So what does that look like? Now, I'm just looking for one. This one here, this is slightly different. So this one here, and I'll show you, I don't have the box for it here, but these are excellent because this means that I can plug this into USB, and I've got a whole heap of other applications that I can use on them as well. So these are great for little laptops and things that don't have like HDMI points and stuff like that, especially if you want to hook them up to screens and do other things with them, or use additional Ethernet ports, additional USB ports while you're using that one. So the way that this works is then the USB side will go into the USB port, and so this one has Ethernet there. So you need to make sure that it's got Ethernet, and that will just go into there, and then that's that system hardwired, and it will be able to recognize that and work from that. You can get this is quite an expensive one. This is actually so that I can set up with the second screen from this one. But you can get many that have the USB end and just have the Ethernet at the bottom. This one here also has additional USB points on it. So that's really good when you've got, say, a laptop that's only got one. My little laptop only has one USB port. So if I want to bring an additional hardwired keyboard to it or anything like that, then these ones are excellent for that. And again, you just put it in. It's a bit of a plug and play situation. So you just put it in, click it in. If for any reason it's not recognizing that one, then you may need to download the software for that. but that's quite rare that that actually happens. So we've just spoken about how to hardwire one that has an Ethernet port in there. It just goes direct plug-in. And then we've got ones that have USB only. So we're buying something that a USB to Ethernet adapter, that's what it's called, a USB to Ethernet adapter. They're around about $40, $50, and they're excellent to have, and you can use them on any of your devices that require that. And then we've got things like little tablets, like this one. So this is a little Samsung tablet. I actually really like this one, and the reason being is that it doesn't Bluetooth the keyboard. The keyboard is attached magnetically, which means that when you're using it and you've got it on flight mode, that there's nothing emitting off the device itself. Now I'm just going to unattach it so I can show you how this one gets plugged in. So this one only has, just trying to get it in focus there, only has a little USB-C port, which is this one here. But that's not an issue either. So there are several ways that you can use that. So again, you can use an adapter like this one here. Now this one here again has got multiple ports on there. It also means that I can charge the device at the same time, and some devices will prefer that. But I can also put in the end there, I can also put the Ethernet port, the Ethernet cord in there. And I find that the tablets tend to be quite easy to hardwire. So once you've then gone through and hardwired them, and again, you can also use something like this. So as you can see on that one, it's the USB-C to Ethernet adapter. And you can see the price on there, that one's $49. And all that one has on it is again just that USB-C connection and the Ethernet port on there as well. Now, once we've established that Ethernet connection on there, we need to make sure that we've not got anything else emitting on there. So often people sort of misunderstand that when you've got something on flight mode, if you are connected or if you are hardwired to the internet, you can still use that device as you normally would if you were on Wi-Fi. So what that means is, say for example, I do a lot of research. I research quite a bit in the evenings as well, which isn't great, I know, but it means that what I can do is like something like this, or, and I don't use tablets a lot, but my little laptop, I can have that on flight mode whilst I've still got the internet going. And I'm not using it while it's charged, so it's not giving off a huge electrical magnetic field either. And the radio frequency, which is what we're dealing with, which is what we're trying to mitigate through this EMF mitigation video series, that's basically nil. So it means that I can have that very close to my body. I can use the internet. I can put a blue screen on there, something like Iris, or there's quite a few on the market that you can use. And I'm reducing down, or I'm removing my exposure, and I'm also reducing down the blue light exposure as well by having those apps on there. So this is a fantastic way if you've got children who are using devices, because it means that they're still able to use the internet. You don't have to go around and download everything and then hope that that thing is going to function on flight mode because you've downloaded it for them. It means that they can use it whilst wired. It also means that, especially for little kids, you don't really want them using tech, but you don't want them using things with cords either, really. So it means that you can hardwire it, download what you want and give it to them like that. If they need to use it with the internet, then you can set them up a station, and we'll talk more about that in the video that we've dedicated to homeschooling and teaching our children how to use tech safely. So what I want you to take away from this video is that just about any device can be hardwired. Now, there are a few exceptions to that. Some speakers, some things like Apple TV can be hard to hardwire. There's a few kind of things in there. And what I want you to consider those as is, as opposed to going, we can't hardwire our devices because we have one particular device that doesn't, that, you know, we can't hardwire. I want you to think we hardwire everything in our house, and that one thing that we can't hardwire is a chosen exposure that we know is creating stress in the body when we turn that on. But we've decided that we're going to turn that on because we're going to watch a family movie once a week, or however you're choosing to use that device. But the key thing is to have as many devices as you can hardwired, because you don't want to have the Wi-Fi going through the build, which it does. And, you know, turning it on every now and then is far, far better than not turning it off at all. So just to recap, there's a couple of things. You can hardwire straight into the device. You can use a USB-C to Ethernet adapter, or you could use a USB to Ethernet adapter. And then you can go a little bit fancier with those adapters if you want to, so that they've got additional functions on them. And like I say, I highly recommend getting them from JB Hi-Fi, or if you've got other tech stores that have a really good returns policy with them as well. So for now, I hope you're going to have a look at what devices you've got in your home. Make a little list of what you need to use to hardwire them. I would suggest, sort of buying one of each of the ones that you need, and then using them among different devices and just seeing whether the devices accept those easily, or whether you need to download, because I do find there can be a slight difference in the brands as to computers recognizing them easily or not. They will all be recognized, it's just whether you've got the software downloaded for them, but most don't require a software download for them to be usable. So I hope that's cleared a few things up. I don't want to hear anyone saying that they can't hardwire because they don't have an Ethernet port. So for now, feel empowered, and I want you to take action to better your health. I'll see you in the next video.